Hey guys, Mark from Soundby here again, and for today's installment of Gear Tips, we're going to be talking about 500 series, and more specifically, how to install and remove modules in your chassis. Now, you may be asking yourself, yes, this is as easy as it looks, and it may be silly, but it is something that a lot of people might overthink, and if you're not careful, you might actually cause some damage to your gear. So this is what we do, and just kind of a best practice for getting set up. So the first thing you're going to want to do is, with your rack, we are demonstrating on the API rack here. Fun fact, API is actually the creator of the 500 series format. The very first thing you want to do is make sure there's absolutely zero power going to the rails. So just to be dead certain, will physically unplug my chassis before doing anything. That's just making sure that there is no power going to any one of the rails and none of these modules are getting juice, because the one thing that you do not want to do is insert it with power or pull it out. It may cause some shortage and just damage your gear. So that being said, double check, none of the lights are on, we're good to go. So to demonstrate this, we're going to be using our Vintech 573. This is an example of a really well-built module and one of our favorite preamps, so it's a good fit here. Now, if you have any experience with desktop computers, or just kind of technology like this in general, you may find that this is very similar to something like a PCIe card. All we're going to be doing is basically taking the card and inserting it into the slot so it locks in place and gets power from the rails, and we're good to go. So the way we'll start is we will slowly set this in here. You're going to want to also be mindful of when you're dropping in modules, be careful where you grab if you can. I know it can be a tight squeeze when you've got a full rack, but you don't want to be yanking on these knobs and pushing and pulling things out of place if you don't have to. You may find that as you slowly drop it in, it might be tricky to gauge if you're on track to line up the card into the slot. So what I found is useful is actually syncing up the screw holes on the module to the screw holes on the chassis. And so I'm looking here and slowly holding onto the knob. I see this is lined up. All right. And once you feel like you got it, you're going to feel where you get a little bit of resistance. And now what you're going to have to do is you're actually going to have to give it a little bit of pressure. Don't jam it in there because you don't want to actually jam it in at the wrong angle and snap something, but you're going to need to give it a little bit of oomph to lock in place. So realigning here. So once you got it, I see that the top is lined up, the bottom is lined up, holding it up a little bit. I'm just going to give it a little tiny push. And now you should feel like kind of a sense of satisfaction that it just feels right. It's in there, it's locked, it's secure. What you're gonna wanna do after that is go ahead and screw in the securing knobs just to make sure that it's not wiggling out of place. I don't have power to the rails here, but a good way to test to make sure that your module is installed properly is if you do have something like an LED light, like a phantom power light, turn it on, making sure you're getting light and power to the rails is a good way to go. And you should be all set to record. So actually removing the modules from the chassis is where folks tend to get a little weary. I know I certainly was when I got my first rack, just because I'm very precious with my gear and it takes a little bit of force, and I was very nervous about messing something up. But trust me, most racks and most modules are built very, very well. So as long as you're not doing something crazy like yanking it out or just being reckless, you're going to be fine. First step you're going to want to do, of course, like I mentioned, is make sure there is no power going to the rails. Some racks may have a simple bypass feature where you don't have to actually unplug it. Me, for complete peace of mind, like I said, I will unplug the rack every time. From there, after you've unscrewed your screws holding the module in, you just want to find a place where you can get a nice grip. And by grip, I don't mean grabbing and yanking, like I said. It's just you really can't get it out with just sliding it in there. So on the 573, I would lightly get a hold of both knobs and just kind of slowly move up and down until I feel the tension starting to loosen up a little bit. And once I feel it release, I'm gonna lighten up a bit. You really don't want to yank it, like I said, because it's gonna come at you fast. So just kind of wiggle, and you're gonna hear it come out here, and like that. And then we are good to go. Make sure everything is all set, and you can go ahead and replace your module. So thanks again for checking out this video, guys. Hopefully this answered some basic questions about 500 series and kind of calmed any nerves about anybody who may be anxious about jumping into this format. 500 series is a terrific format to work with. It is loads of fun collecting modules and working with their different sounds and tools, and it'll probably be your new gear collection hobby. If you have any questions about any of the modules in our rack or just any recording gear in general, please shoot us an email or give us a call anytime. We're happy to help. You can reach us by phone or at proaudio@soundpure.com. And until next time, we'll see you soon.